Hello and welcome back to the channel, everybody. My name is Dark Sage Walker, and I think today we are going to just have some fun with a topic that I wanted to really dive into. But in order to really get into that, I need to run through the museum real fast. Oh my god, is he doing the glitch? No, I just like doing the tutorial over and over again. It just defines my style, y'all. You have no idea. So, when it's time, can I just skip all these guys and go, just go right to the end here and get my stuff? Oh, yeah, I can. How dare you? That's just plain rude, sir. I don't appreciate that. Mega Slime! It's a shame we don't see this thing in the main game. Not that it's like dangerous or at all like super scary, but there we go. Give me that cookie. Put that cookie down! Insignia of legend. It does things. It breaks museum cases. Wazoo! Alright. Oh, there that goes. Alright, so here's what we're doing. We are going to go into a run with the full Painter's Tote, because we are going to have ourselves a little bit of a conversation here. Well, what kind of a conversation? Something that's just... I mean, it's one of those things that's typically on my mind at any... The fuck? How am I supposed to explain that? There we go. Because we are going to have a discussion today about whether or not video games should truly be considered art. And I know some people have a strong stance on that, others don't. Some people are like, why are we even talking about this? Who even cares? And it's like, well, I do, for one. There we go, we're gonna be a shadow. I am but a shadow of my former self. But why am I suddenly finding it to be important to talk about now? Mostly because it's just one of those things that I tend to think about. I know it probably seems a little odd to spend time on that thought process, but I don't think it's a bad thing to spend time thinking about. Now, that could very well be just because I have a vested interest in my hobby. So take that however you want. But I think it's worth talking about just because, for the sake of growing the medium and just in general, it's worth having conversations like this because, let's see, there we go with the beam. And then what do we want to use for this? There we go. So we've got the fireballs, the get off me blast, and the mega laser. That seems like a run. Oh, and the soundtrack choice. So once again, I had to put my phone on the charger when I got home from work. It's not as bad. I just wanted to make sure I didn't run out of battery for any reason. But I ended up rolling a 3, so we're going with the smooth jazz. Oh yeah. Well, no, 3 is piano. What am I talking about? Alright, and I think we are going to start... not at the Sky Palace. There we go. We will start there. But as a little bit of background information, I am what one would call a long-time gamer. I've been gaming since the NES, which that came out in... See, the NES came out in 1985. I was born in 1983, so, you know, perfect timing. Now, some of you are probably doing some math on that, going, you were born in 1983? Jeez, you're like a grandpa. Shut up. First of all, I don't think I'm that damn old. I'm not saying I'm a spring chicken by any means, but I wouldn't call myself a grandpa either. Like, I've definitely been giving some thought to speed running. And for those of you who are wondering, what game would you speed run, Dark Sage? There is a game from my childhood called The Guardian Legend that is maybe part of the reason why I love shmups as much as I do nowadays. I'd say between that and Dragon Spirit, those are the two big games that made me a fan of shmups in general. I kinda like the idea of Raging Inferno, but I'm gonna wait. It also occurs to me that I probably could have chosen a different dash to actually make use of the breezy canvas. Which, you know, actually, if I find a different dash, maybe I'll take it. Because I think that would be more interesting than just using Chaotic Rift again. Like, well, you should have done that before you started the run, you idiot. And you're probably right. I don't exactly appreciate the idiot part, but you know what? It's not exactly wrong either. So let's actually see if she's selling a different dash. She's selling 2 different dashes. Yep, I'm actually going to go with that, because... See, what the Breezy Gray Canvas does is increases the chance to restore dash charge and evade all attacks while dashing. So that obviously doesn't do anything when you're using Chaotic Rift, so hey, what the hell, I'll give myself a little bit of a challenge and use something different. It's not like I don't have the extra money for it. Gloves of Midas are doing a great job. Oh, what? That didn't count? But I've been playing video games since I was a wee small lad, and as such, I have a very vested interest in seeing the growth of one of my favorite hobbies. And for a while, it looked like we were definitely getting that growth, but unfortunately, some things that change for the worse, and things like Electronic Arts and Activision came around that decided that they really wanted to focus on the business side of video games, which I'm aware, when you're making something that's supposed to be consumed by the public, you need to at least be kind of thinking about the business end of things. I get that. What I don't appreciate, and by the way, I'm going to buy that, what I don't appreciate is the kind of EA thought process that's basically the only thing that's worth it in gaming is pure profit. Screwed that one up. I think I kind of want to just stick with 3 fireballs. I will, however, give myself better critical hit chance. Alright, we out. So, something to be said there for that is... And it's not just EA and Activision, it's also Ubisoft and very much Take-Two Interactive. I can't stand Take-Two. And frankly, they're a big part of what Rockstar Games has become. Like, whatever your stance is on, Grand Theft Auto and Red Dead Redemption, which is kind of their 2 big things, no matter what your stance on it, there is no denying that those are no longer things that they think about as an artistic thing. Those are now just products. And for what it's worth, I'm more or less okay on Red Dead Redemption. I've never liked Grand Theft Auto. And there's nothing moral about it, it's just, I don't understand why you would want to go out and play a game that's about emulating real life for the most part. It's like, if I wanted to emulate real life, I go outside and emulate real life. So I never got the point of it. Now, those who really like it are going to insist, oh, it's just a fun sandbox. I think you're looking into it too hard. It's like, yeah, maybe. Simultaneously, oh, we're definitely getting this. Simultaneously, though, it just kind of feels like it's one of those things where by trying so hard for realism, they're kind of missing the point of what a video game is. And yeah, you can argue, yeah, it's realistic to carry around a bunch of firearms on you that are probably heavier than you've ever lived in your life. Yeah, lots of us just go outside with rocket launchers just down the back of our trousers, Sage. That's not necessarily the point I'm getting at. What I'm getting at is that the moment-to-moment gameplay is definitely modeled after real life. Like, you're not going out, like, casting spells or things like that. It's just life in a city and crime stories, and for some people, I get the appeal. It's just never been for me. That having been said, and now coming back to the topic that I had originally started, I will say that it takes more than a little bit of effort to recreate a city to sprawl around in and play around it for a game. So, on the whole, would I consider Grand Theft Auto to be art? And I would say, yeah, probably. And that's from more than just a visual standpoint. There's a lot that goes into creating a simulation of a city like that. There's understanding how transportation works. There's people's day-to-day lives and habits. You know, how do you populate this city? How do you recreate things like annoying-ass billboards that no one wants to read? But we do anyways, because they're so goddamn big, you can't really ignore them. We are going to get this. Yes, beautifully executed. So even though it's not my thing, I can definitely understand the argument to call it artistic, because there's a lot that goes into making a good Grand Theft Auto game. I would also argue that it takes a lot to butcher a good Grand Theft Auto game. But I mean, Grove Street Games has that down to a science. They figured that one out a long time ago. And even if it wasn't a long time ago, they got the art of ruining down now. Like, again, I remind you, I am not a fan of the Grand Theft Auto series, but oh my goodness, did they ruin a shown-up classic. It wasn't just one, they ruined 3 shown-up classics. I guess that's part of what got me thinking is, we will definitely be taking that. What does make something special to someone? No, I suppose the better question is, what makes something art? So, let's go ahead and look up a definition. Fortunately, my phone has enough battery in it that I can do this. So here are the 2 definitions that come up when I look it up. Art, noun, definition 1. The expression or application of human creative skill and imagination, typically in a visual form such as painting or sculpture, producing works to be appreciated primarily for their beauty or emotional power. Or 2, the various branches of creative activities such as painting, music, literature, and dance. So that first definition actually kind of hit on the head what I was going to get at, which is art is not purely visual. And the reason why I bring that part of it up is because there's a lot of devs and publishers out there that are very highly pushing the idea that we need to be striving for bigger games, better graphics, all of this, and to the point now where dev time and where their games now require so much dev time and such a large budget for everything that they're trying to do that it's just ballooned into this crazy scale. And it's not to say that we've never gotten anything good from that. I would argue that at least on the visual end of things like Red Dead Redemption 2 are very much a visual marvel. But it's a visual marvel that comes at the cost, I definitely want this, that comes at the cost of time and people's health. And I'm not going to get into the crunch culture argument, but yes, that is where that's going. So if you want you want to discuss crunch, this isn't the place for it. We're simply discussing art right now. Man, that was actually kind of a fun room. But like I was saying, that first definition hit the nail I was going to be talking about right on the head. Didn't even know it was going to be a mimic, but man was I prepared. And the part that resonates with me there is the part where they talk about the emotional aspect of art. And that, I think, is one of the biggest things, is does this piece of work, you know, does it generate an emotion? Does it make you feel something? And I know that that's a broad question to ask, because I mean, things like, because the argument comes up of, well, what sort of things are you looking to have people feel? Because people who play competitive shooters feel an adrenaline rush in competition. Yeah, but again, is that the type of emotion you're looking to have your art? You're looking to have your, I should say, not your art, but your design convey? Because I think we're going to take this, because I do have a cursed relic, obs, and I could use a little bit of extra health. Everything else is kind of iffy, so clip that on the head and move on. Now, using the Call of Duty series as a kind of jumping off point for that particular thought process, I think there was a time in which Call of Duty was definitely considered much more artistic than it is nowadays. Nowadays, it's kind of known as the poster boy for multiplayer military shooters. And you know, fine, whatever, if that's what you want. It is not my place to say whether or not something is worth your time or not. What kind of is. What I'm trying to say is, I'm not judging you for how you spend your time. But I think there was a time in which one would call Call of Duty not only just an interesting perspective on war, and I'm not talking about the first person perspective. I'm talking about like an actual perspective on the hell that is warfare. Like to the point where I think it's reasonable to say that a game like Call of Duty World at War might actually be considered downright profound. And what people remember about, see, I'm not sure which one it is, but I may come back for one of those. It'll depend on what Archon are for sale. But I don't know the subtitle, but I know it's Call of Duty 4. Hopefully that's enough, and it doesn't make me look like a complete idiot for not knowing it right off the top of my head. It's like, what kind of a gamer are you if you don't know every single game that's ever been released by name? Hey everybody, this guy's a phony! Overkill. Like, by such a crazy degree, it was almost not funny, but fuck you, I find it hilarious. But I think the days of Call of Duty being artistic and profound are, I'm not gonna say they're over, but it's definitely now more of a product than it is art. And I can explain the difference. Art is something that's born out of creativity, that's meant to make you feel something. It's meant to either show you something, or have you listen to something, or have, in one way or another, have you taken some piece of creativity that's meant to evoke an emotion. Now, in this case, I'm pretty sure that... Oh, hello. Alright, so let me see. Well, I know we're going to be taking the Mimic. What I'm not sure about is what we're going to sacrifice to the Mimic. I mean, you gotta feed your pets. That's just point number one. If you're taking care of another being, you have to be capable of, feeding them and making sure that they're well cared for. Isn't that right, birds? There's nothing here. There's the final. So what would be sensible would be to take Spiral Rumblers. I'm not sure how exactly I feel about that Arcana, but, it's there. Alright, let's go ahead and clear out the boss and see if we get a freebie to... Oops. Alright, so no freebies, so let's see what we can buy here. Well, that and that and that I can just buy to give away. Alright, I want to hold on to that, I want to hold on to that. I want to hold on to all of those, and that, and we'll give away everything else. There we go. And you know what? Let's buy that. So again, the argument can be made, oh, but multiplayer shooters make you feel competitive, and when you lose, they make you feel great. It's like, that's not necessarily what I'm going with by the definition of feeling something. Now, admittedly, that is one way you can look at it, but that's not the way I was looking at it. As evidenced by the idea that I talked about... Did I give up Jade's Chakra Locket by accident? I mean, I can't really say much aside from oops, but I mean, let's be fair. I'm pretty sure I don't need it at this point. Yep, I either accidentally gave it up or left it behind. I am not going to be sad about that in one way or another, though. Hello, Mr. Nocturne. So with that in mind, the original question now comes back into sharper relief. Do video games count? Do video games count as art? Now, there's a lot of people that are just gonna be like, well, no, why would they? Then of course there are people who are on my side of the fence, which is like, well, yeah, of course they're art. It's a medium that is creative. I don't know how much more money I'm gonna need, honestly. I think what I will do, though, is I will further supplement my bank account. And the reason why I think so harkens right back to that point about an emotional investment. Now again, it's if you're looking at something like Call of Duty as with the with the emotional investment being that it's something that makes you feel excitement, makes you feel like a rush. Now that might not necessarily be the type of thing I meant by makes you feel something, but I also think it's I think it's more or less valid. Because when you're playing a multiplayer competitive shooter, and keep in mind the very open definition, so not only can I say Call of Duty there, but I'm also talking things like Battlefield, Splatoon, anything along those lines, because there's competitive scenes for all of those games. And I would argue that the definition fits, because even though I'm not a big fan of those games, with the exception of Splatoon. And I would argue that it's not necessarily because it makes you feel competitive or like a champion or some shit like that. I'd say it's because it makes you feel excitement. It makes you feel drive. And even though that's not the same thing as like the sort of emotion that you get from like something profound, like, and I guess I'll just have to say it, like, Call of Duty 4. But it doesn't mean that those feelings are invalid. Like, there's a reason why we get super excited when we get off a kill streak in certain modern multiplayer shooter here. Let's see if we can get something good from Nocturne. Now, not every game is designed to make you feel like a particularly powerful emotion, let's be fair. Grab that just because. Give. But now let's bring that full circle. When I say video games are art, I very much mean it. Like, let's look at a few examples. Let's actually take an oldie but a goodie. How about Super Mario Bros. 3? Now, a lot of people would say, yeah, you would say that's art because it's just one of the best NES games created. It's not necessarily just about that, but it's also like, it's the feeling. What does the game make you feel? In this case, the feeling that people got was, I guess in one way you could say it was like apprehensions. Like, are things what we perceive them to be? And those of you who have been around this block before know what I'm getting at. The theory that Mario Bros. 3 was all just a stage play. Now, why do people say that? Well, point number one: just about every platform and every element of gameplay design, like, and I'm not gonna say every. There are a few that aren't, but okay, yeah, we want the Tagger Scroll. But a lot of the gameplay elements look as though they're nailed into place. Like, there's, screws and nails that are holding a lot of the mid-air platforms in as if they were being nailed into a background. But what, huh? But what else? That can't possibly be it. Well, how about the idea that as you're playing through the game, you can see Mario's shadow on the background? Oh, look at that. We never lost Jade's Chakra Locket. You're the delusional one. Which evokes the idea of, well, maybe this is all just a play. Maybe it's a performance. Like, what other evidence do we have for that? How about the idea that even though Bowser is the Mushroom Kingdom's greatest enemy, supposedly, like, I'm not even 100% sure that's true, which is one of the reasons why I love Bowser as a character, but it's the idea that that all of these spin-off games continue to include Bowser as a playable character. Now, the real reason for that, of course, is because they're trying to round out the roster of characters. And people like having villain characters to play in spin-off games. That's why there is such a call for more villains in Smash Brothers. But our boy Bowser keeps getting invited to play golf and tennis and kart racing events, and it's like, he's like your greatest adversary. Why are you inviting him to all of this stuff? Is it possible that you're not as embittered? That's the word I was looking for. That you're not as embittered towards each other as you like everyone to believe? Could it possibly be, yes, I'm going to grab that, could it possibly be that maybe much of what's going on here is an act after all? Okay, I've got to get rid of that archer. Seriously. Oh, come on! How is it possible that many attacks in a row like this? I mean, aside from the idea that I'm eating. So, whether or not that theory holds any validity or not, and I'm going to say, it probably doesn't. It's the idea that it made people think, and it made people feel. And that's one of the things that makes something like Super Mario Bros. 3 art. So now the argument would come up, well, what about the games that you like to play? You really like roguelike games, but what's so artistic about those? What are they making you feel? In this case, a sense of accomplishment. Because, like I said, one of the big things about roguelike games that I like is that idea that you really have to be resourceful. You have to be good at either getting around garbage or just surviving. And you have to essentially work with what you're given. You're not given the keys to the kingdom necessarily. You're not handed a BFG or an Excalibur and said, "Alright, go save the world." You are handed the equivalent of a slingshot and said, "Alright, we're gonna count on you to find something a little bit better for the job." And by a little bit better, I mean like literally anything would be better. But if we want to take it a step further than that, and okay, let's, it's real easy to look at some roguelites and say, yeah, that game definitely evokes feeling, and has something behind it. Like, again, a lot of you probably know this already, but The Binding of Isaac was actually based largely on Edmund Macmillan's personal experience with Christianity. Now, I don't know what the impetus was for this game, but this game is all about magic, and magic to me is all about that sense of... It's all about the sense of wonder. It's about controlling the elements. It's like literally magic. It's a feeling of power and like it just there's a reason why I like playing as mages in games that allow me to chant, because I find magic to be such an interesting concept. So, not only does this game invoke in me a sense of like pride in being able to play it well, because you have to work within a given parts catalog, so to speak. Oops, I'm a dummy. But it's also it's a game that's very much about magic. It's right in the title, Wizard of Legend. Look at that, set a trap for him and you walked right into it. So this game brings together my love of magic with that feeling of accomplishment and the sensation of victory that I get from completing a run of a game where things are far from certain. And that, to me, is part of what makes Wizard of Legend art, outside of just... Because it's more than just visuals. If anyone tells you that art is just like, drawing, paintings, like, art is more than just visuals. And I would argue that that's one of the things that's really missing from a lot of AAA games nowadays, is the real definition of art. That feeling of drawing in, like, what's the word I'm even looking for? That it's the emotional aspect, it's the sense of wonder, it's the sense of imagination. There's so much that's missing from modern gaming, because instead of treating games like art, they're being treated like products. And yes, that it's hard to tell the difference, because a lot of things that are products have some of the same things going for them as something that's artistic. Like, it's visual, it required at least some part of imagination to put together, but it's easy to tell when something is just a cynical cash cow, and when something is really interesting and artistic, and you're trying to get people to feel something and rally around it. Like, it was, like, most recently, the award that Hades won, the first video game to win. Let me look it up, and this is going to be the last tangent I go on, by the way, because I know I'm done with the run. That's it. Hades was the first game to win the Hugo Award, and that's something that's awarded to, and allow me to see. The Hugo Award is an annual literary award for the best science fiction or fantasy works and achievements of the previous year. The game Hades won it because they took the idea of all of these characters from Greek mythology and didn't just retell the same stories. They used that as well as the roguelike gameplay loop to tell an ongoing, continuous story about these characters. And it's the idea that they not only did that, but did it in such a way that inspires imagination, like, that really gets you going. Like, you feel things for these characters. Like, when... I mean, spoilers if you haven't played the game, but if you haven't played the game, then you haven't really lived. But when I got... Oh, what's his friggin' name now? Oh, this is gonna tear me up because I can't remember his name. Orpheus and... God, what's her name? The muse. Or the nymph, whatever her name is. Hold on. I'm gonna look it up because it's gonna tear me up until I can remember it. Some of you are probably screaming at the video right now going, that's her name, you fucking idiot. Eurydice. I'm pretty sure that's how you pronounce it. I know in the game they pronounce it Eurydice, but I'm pretty sure it's Eurydice. But when I got those two back together, and I could just feel that even though there was true animosity between them earlier, but then when I got them back together and, like, they were cheerfully singing together and you could hear both parts of the song together, I was like, that touched my heart. And it's hard to say that there's a lot of games out there that really go out of their way to try to touch your heart. But Hades does, and that's why it won a Hugo Award. Games can be art. We just have to stop looking at the obvious shovelware and the terrible asset flips and the cynical products and actually look at something that really is artistic. So I implore you, go out and play Hades, play Ender Lilies, Hollow Knight. There are things to fawn and gush over with games like that. And it's things that you're not going to get out of just another cynical cash grab. But that's all for me. I hope you guys did stay to the end of the video to listen to what I had to say. Like, this is obviously an important topic to me, and if you guys want me to talk about it some more and talk about other games that I feel have an interesting artistic merit, then by all means, let me know. Comments down below. Leave it on one of my social media platforms. Just let me know somewhere that you're interested in continuing this conversation, and I would love to continue it, because I could go on and on about the artistic merit of video games. At this point, I'm rambling, so I'll just say thank you guys for coming here and spending some free time with me. I will see you in the next one. My name is Dark Sage Walker, and I will be seeing you.